Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are joining me here for the first time today. My name is Lucy, and today I created this gorgeous pink and purple look comparing the infamous Plouise base with the brand new Anastasia Beverly Hills eye primer. To create this gorgeous eye look, I also used the 39S Such a Gem palette by Morphe. So if you do want to see how these bases compare to each other and how the palette performed on top of them, then please do keep watching.
No, I don't wanna waste what's left.
Hi, so it feels like it's been ages since I sat down and did a video like this, like an actual makeup video. It feels like forever since I've actually played around with eyeshadow, even though it's only realistically been like a week or two. Today I have a really exciting video for you guys. You have been really requesting this ever since I started using this product. So today I'm going to be comparing the Anastasia Beverly Hills eye base with the Plouise base and basically putting them both to the test, seeing which one is more worth the money and which one is just generally better working with shadows and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna make this too long. I literally want to cut right into the video, so let's go. So first things first, I just quickly want to run through some of the facts about these products. The Anastasia Beverly Hills one is in this tube right here. This is a 15ml bottle and this retails at £26, which I did touch on in my Anastasia and Alyssa palette review because I also used that for the first time in that, and I do think that is fairly pricey considering the Plouise one is the same amount of product, again 15ml, and this one is only £10. So realistically you're looking at a £16 difference, and that's kind of what I want to touch on and see if there's like a reason for such a big price gap. Obviously Anastasia Beverly Hills is a very well-known brand. It's very popular, so I do understand why they have priced it slightly higher. Plouise is an up-and-coming brand which I actually really love. A lot of their shadows, a lot of their products, to be honest. You guys know I've been literally religiously using this base ever since I got my hands on it. Seeing as I am holding them like this, I'm going to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills base on this eye and the Plouise base on this one here, so just for reference so you know which eye is which. So I'm just going to do a quick little run test. Basically this one here is the Plouise base. This is in the shade number 1, and this is the Anastasia base. I do think they only have one shade at the moment, so these two are pretty similar. As you can probably see, this one is running slightly more than this one is. This one is a lot more of a thinner and runnier consistency, whereas the Plouise base is pretty thick and it stays put where it is. I'm going to pat these into the lid using the same brush but the other sides of this brush, just so it's a fair test. And I'm also probably going to use a brand new eyeshadow palette that I haven't yet used with either of these bases, just so it's a little bit more fair and you can fully see how they perform on each of the base. So there are the bases on the eyes. Honestly, not a lot to report at this moment in time. They've gone on really nicely, both of them, to be honest with you. I have got to say this one is picking up on a little bit more texture on my eyes. I'm just going to zoom in case you can't really see it. You still might not be able to see much, but this one is slightly more picking up on some of the dry patches and the texture on the inside of my eye, just around here. This side is the Anastasia Beverly Hills eye base, and this one is the Plouise one. This one is not so much picking up on the texture, and it does look a slight bit smoother, but other than that these bases are pretty similar when you first lay them down. So I'm going to go ahead now and use some eyeshadows. So for today's eyeshadow, like I said, I am going to use a new palette that I haven't yet used with either of these eye bases, just so it's a complete fair test and we can just fully see how the shadows are on top of each base. This palette I have here is the Morphe 39S Such a Gem palette. I'm sure you've seen this circulating the internet. This is the palette right here. It's full of beautiful purple and pink tones. It's just a generally stunning palette. It is laid out the same way that the Morphe James Charles palette is, with the big shades in the middle and then the little shades across the top and the bottom. I really love this palette, and considering I'm someone who doesn't love working with purple and pink generally, I actually think this is a really stunning palette, and the shimmers look so beautiful here in the middle as well. So I'm first just going to dig into this deep dark purple shade here, which is called Make It Rain, and I'm going to pack that all over the top of my my lid. I've just noticed that I left the Anastasia Beverly Hills eye primer with no lid on it just for a second lying down, and it has seeped out a lot of product. So I've just been trying to clean it up on my finger, but I do feel like that's quite a waste of product. Now, it doesn't go back in the tube, so that's just one thing to bear in mind. There is a lot of a runnier consistency, which obviously has meant that it's ran out of the tube whilst it's been laying down with no lid on. So that is maybe something to bear in mind. I know the Plouise base wouldn't do that because I've done that so many times with this base. I've actually lost the lid at points and just had it in my makeup bag with no lid, and it's never ran like that before. So it is a little bit frustrating that the expensive one has done it. So I'm sure to you guys it looks literally the exact same, and to be honest, to me it does as well. There's not really a lot to say about that shadow going down onto the bases. I would only say that this one, which is the Anastasia Beverly Hills eye primer side, did actually take the colour a little bit easier and a little bit more pigmented. You probably can't tell at all on the camera, but this one looks ever so slightly a bit darker, and this one looks a tiny bit sheerer, but honestly it's nothing that you would ever like think of if you weren't comparing two bases, if that makes sense. So I don't think it's a massive issue, but it's just something to pick up on. The next shade I'm going in with is this purple shade down here, which is called Grape Mines, and I'm just going to use that on a really small brush to blend out the dark purple. The next shade I'm going to pick up, oh my god, I literally cannot hold this palette. The next shade is this shade here, which is called Berry Good, and that is just going to go above those purple shades. Okay, so at this point, again, not really much to report back to you. I'm just going to continue to blend and see if there's any changes after that. Now I'm taking this pale pink sort of blush shade called Pink Prize, and I'm just going to blend out right at the edges with that. Okay, so now I'm going to take the shimmery purple shade from the palette, which is the shade Amethyst Ore, and I'm just going to pack that all over my lid as well. Now, because that shimmer shade didn't show up as much as I would have liked it to, I'm going to go ahead with some glitter primer by NYX, and then I'm going to go on top with the Hocus Pocus pigment by Peaches and Cream, just to give it a little bit of sparkle. Okay, so I kind of want to use these bases to compare how they cut the crease or cut through shadow. So what I'm going to do, I don't want to cut the crease now, I've just done that all over my lid. But what I am going to do is use a makeup wipe just to quickly get rid of some of the eyeshadow along the bottom by my lash line. And then basically I'm going to cut it into like an eyeliner shape. And then I don't really know what I'm going to do from there, but I'm sure we'll figure something out. So what I'm going to do is go on with the Anastasia eye first. And I'm just going to take a small tiny bit of that base on the back of my hand. To be honest, I don't even have to squeeze any out because there's just so much excess around the lid that I'm just going to use what's on there. Now I'm just taking a small angled liner brush, and I'm just going to basically go over that space I just cut out with the baby wipe. Now I'm just going to do the same thing on the other eye with the Plouise base in the shade number 1. Okay, so not a massive difference on both of those parts either, to be honest with you. I would say that obviously because the Plouise base is slightly thicker in consistency, I did find it a little bit easier to kind of draw the line and fill it in a bit quicker, whereas because the Anastasia one is a little bit more watery, it was sliding around all over the place and not really setting as quick as I wanted it to, but it wasn't really an issue, to be honest. For a thin, quite watery base, this one's actually covered up all of my coloration and everything really nicely. It does take a little bit more time and a little bit more persistence to get it to where you want it because it is a little bit thinner, but to be honest with you, they both look very, very similar and I don't really have a complaint against either of them. So I'm going to use the same glitter base that I used before for that pigment on my lid, which is the NYX glitter primer, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the Lick and Lash pigment in the shade Queen and basically do a second liner just slightly underneath where I've cut out that line. Okay, so this is kind of where we're at the moment. What I'm going to do is go ahead and put on some mascara and then some lashes. I'm going to use today the Tassie Lashes TL Mitchell. I'm so excited to use these. Obviously, everyone has seen the TL Mitchell lashes and I haven't yet used them, so I'm very excited. So my lashes are now on. I absolutely adore these lashes. I think they are so beautiful and so fluffy and they just really, really complete the look really nicely. Now I'm just going to finish up with a quick little bit of skin. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the Prep and Prime spray. That was such a lie, I'm sorry. It's actually the NYX Bear With Me. Well, it is still a Prep and Prime spray, but it's not the MAC one. It's the NYX Bear With Me Prep Set Refresh spray. Now I'm going to take the Sleek Life Proof Foundation Medium to Full Coverage Sweat Proof Oil Free Foundation. This is in the shade LP02. Honestly, it's probably not going to match me, but I'm just going to try it anyway because I really want to try it out. I'm not sure about medium to full coverage with this foundation. You can definitely still see every single freckle of mine underneath it, which I really like, but I just don't think that it is as full coverage as they're like advertising it to be. But I mean, I still really like it. I just would say if you're thinking about buying it for full coverage, then it's probably not that full coverage, to be honest with you. Now I'm taking the Peggy Sage Luminous Skin Concealer. This one is in the shade Bonville. I've been using this concealer so much at the moment. I used it every day in Paris when I was doing the no makeup kind of look with literally just a little bit of mascara and brows and some concealer. And now I'm taking the Milk Makeup Blur and Set Loose Setting Powder just underneath my eyes and wherever else I feel like I need to set in place. For my bronzer today, I've got the brand new Kiko Milano Beyond Limits Maxi Bronzer in the shade 02 Active Sienna. I really love this bronzer. First of all, look at the size of it. It's absolutely huge and the whole pan literally fits the whole perimeter of the packaging pretty much, which is really great. It means it's going to last me a really, really long time. And I'm just going to apply this into my cheeks. I also really like that this bronzer is a nice cool toned bronzer rather than an orangey tone. When I am pale on days like today, it is a lot nicer to use a cool toned bronzer because otherwise I just look orange and it doesn't really match with my skin tone or my complexion. So I like to use a cool toned bronzer instead. And to highlight, I've got the Urban Decay Mother of Dragons highlighting palette from the Game of Thrones collection. This does look like it might be a slight bit dark for my skin tone at the moment, but I'm going to just try the middle shade, which is the shade, I feel like I'm going to say it wrong because I'm not a Game of Thrones watcher, but I think it's Verizian. Oh no, that's completely wrong anyway. It's Viserion. Oh my god, I'm not even going to bother trying to say that, but anyway, I'm taking the middle shade. Quickly just zooming you in for the under eye, I'm just going to take a black waterliner. This one is the Sleek Intense Waterliner on my waterline. How many times am I going to say that word? And then I'm just going to buff the same shadows that I used on the top underneath my lower lash line as well. And for my lips, I'm taking the Sleek Locked Up Super Precise Lip Liner Pencil in the shade Friend Zone, and then the Anastasia Beverly Hills Catnip Liquid Lipstick on top. And this is the finished look, guys, comparing the Plouise base with the Anastasia Beverly Hills base, and also testing for the first time the Morphe 39S Such a Gem palette. So to summarize these two bases, to be honest with you, I really don't have a lot to say about them in comparison. I think that they both worked extremely well, especially with this palette. I do just want to say quickly that obviously my left eye is not my best eye. I don't really do my best blending on that eye, so that has nothing to do with the base. That's just honestly that I much prefer doing things on my right eye than my left, so one eye will definitely look better, but that's not to do with the base, that's just me. I genuinely don't really have a preference between the bases. I think they both worked extremely well and they both did their job really nicely. If anything, the only thing I would say is that the Plouise base is £16 cheaper here in the UK, so I definitely would go ahead and repurchase this one over this one. I do know that in international countries you can get the Plouise base, however the shipping does make it extremely expensive, whereas in the UK it is a lot cheaper. So in that sense, I would say you can probably get the Anastasia base for not a lot more expensive if you are ordering this one online, if that makes sense. So you can probably go into Sephora and get this for $20 odd, and this one will probably make up to that price by the time you've paid shipping. So yeah, sorry for the anticlimactic ending. I don't really have a preference. I think they are both really great primers. The only thing I would say, like I've said a million times already, is that this one for me is slightly cheaper, so I would probably repurchase this one over this one, but I love them both equally, so I will be definitely using them both in the future. If you did enjoy watching this video, then please make sure to leave a thumbs up, a comment below, and also subscribe to my channel if you are new or if you want to see more of my content in the future. Don't forget you can also follow me over on my Instagram, which is at Lsgmakeup. I will leave it on the screen here. I'd love to see you all over on there. And other than that, I'm going to leave this video here. So thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
We'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun.